We want our AIs to be smart, right? Not just fact-spitting machines, but something that actually understands how different ideas connect. It turns out the secret is all about how they access knowledge. And today, we're going to look at this really cool new method that's basically teaching AI how to read a map of everything we know. It's called LeanRAG, and it starts by fixing a huge fundamental problem.
Okay, so let's get right to it. You've probably seen this happen. You ask a super smart AI a question, and it gives you this beautifully written, totally confident, and completely made-up answer. We call this an AI hallucination, and it is a massive headache in the field right now. So why does it happen? Well, believe it or not, it all boils down to a memory problem. See, the thing about these large language models, LLMs, is that they're trained on this gigantic but static snapshot of the internet. Their knowledge is essentially frozen in time. Think of it like a textbook from a few years ago. It's smart, but it doesn't know what happened yesterday. So when you ask for something super current or specific, it just has to guess. The obvious fix, right? Well, you connect it to a live external source of information. You ground its answers in facts, taking it from a good guesser to something that actually knows what it's talking about.
And this whole concept has a name you've probably heard: Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. It's a pretty brilliant idea, honestly. It's like giving the AI a library card and a super fast search engine. So now, when you ask a question, it doesn't just rely on its old memory. First, it goes and looks up the relevant info, and then it uses those facts to build its answer. This was a huge, huge step forward, but it wasn't the silver bullet everyone hoped for.
So that brings us to our first section, AI's big memory problem. The issue with this early kind of naive RAG was what it was actually retrieving. It was basically just grabbing messy, unstructured chunks of text. Imagine trying to answer a question by ripping random paragraphs out of a book. Sometimes you'd get the right info, sure, but you'd be missing all the surrounding context. Other times, you just get a bunch of noise. So yeah, the AI was getting better, but its answers were often still incomplete or, well, just plain wrong.
All right, so to solve that mess, researchers had a new idea. Let's organize the AI's library. This led to a way smarter approach, but it created a brand new, kind of sneaky problem of its own. Let's call it the semantic islands trap.
So the big breakthrough here was to stop thinking about knowledge as just a pile of text files and start thinking about it like a giant, interconnected mind map. This is what we call a knowledge graph. In this setup, information isn't just a static block of text. Nope. It's a whole network of concepts and, crucially, the relationships between them. This brought us more advanced methods, like something called hierarchical, and it was a serious leap forward in how we organize data for an AI. But, and there's always a but, even this created a new kind of problem. And the researchers behind this paper put it perfectly. They said these new tidy knowledge maps had a huge flaw. The high-level ideas ended up as disconnected semantic islands. Basically, you had these beautiful, well-organized clusters of information, but there were no bridges connecting one island to the next. So what does that actually mean? Well, picture this. You've got a perfect little cluster of knowledge all about, say, topic A. And over here, another perfect cluster about topic B. Inside each island, everything is beautifully connected. But what happens when your question needs a link between A and B? Nothing. The AI hits a wall. There's a gap, a void. It literally can't see any roads leading from one topic to the other.
And this is where it gets really bad, because a map without roads is pretty useless, right? The AI's search process becomes, as the paper calls it, structurally unaware. It just gets lost, wandering aimlessly around these islands trying to find an answer. The whole thing is slow, it's super inefficient, and for any complex question that needs to connect the dots, it just fails.
Okay, so this is where our story gets good. To fix this whole semantic islands problem, we needed a new solution. One built from the ground up to connect the map. Enter LeanRAG. This is the new framework we're talking about today, and its key innovation is just so elegant. It doesn't just organize information into those islands. It goes one step further. It actively builds the roads between them, creating one big, interconnected, and totally navigable map of knowledge. So the big question is, how does it actually work? How does LeanRAG find the answers so well? It's actually a pretty clever two-step process. Okay, step one, build the smart map. So first, just like before, it groups similar ideas into clusters. But then, and this is the secret sauce, it uses a large language model to intelligently create relationships between those clusters. It builds the roads. Then, step two, find the fastest path.
Now, this is really cool. Instead of just wandering around, LeanRAG's search starts at the bottom with the most specific, nitty-gritty details related to your question. Then it travels up the hierarchy using those new roads to grab just the right amount of broader context. So that all sounds great on paper, but, does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's look at the results, because they show LeanRAG isn't just a neat idea, it is seriously smarter, faster, and leaner.
I mean, how much better are we talking? Well, the researchers put it to the test, and honestly, the data really does speak for itself.
Just take a look at these overall performance scores. You've got naive RAG, the basic approach, down at 7.47. Then you have high RAG, which was the state of the art, at a respectable 8.08. But then look at lean RAG, 8.59. That's not a small improvement. That's a really significant jump in the quality of the answers. We're talking more accurate, more complete, and just plain more useful responses.
But it's not just that the answers are better. It's also about how efficient it is. And this next number, this is the one that really got my attention, 46%.
So what is that 46%? It's the reduction in information clutter. LeanRAG cuts down on the amount of junk information it retrieves by almost half. That smart bottom-up search finds exactly what's needed and leaves all the redundant, noisy stuff behind. This is literally the lean in LeanRAG. You get a super focused, clean, and powerful piece of context for the AI to use. And if you need one final piece of proof for why this works so well, this is it. The researchers did one last test. They took their LeanRAG model and they just deleted the roads they built between the islands. And look at what happened. The full version of LeanRAG wins on answer diversity almost 60% of the time. But the version without those crucial connections, it tanks, down to just 40%. This is the smoking gun. It proves that building those roads isn't just a nice feature, it is the absolute secret sauce. So, when you step back, LeanRAG is clearly a huge leap forward. It's not just another small tweak, it's a whole new way of thinking about how AI should access information. We're not just giving it a library anymore. We're giving it a detailed map and teaching it how to be an expert navigator. And that just leaves us with one really exciting question to think about. If an AI can navigate the entire map of human knowledge this well, what are the really, really hard problems it's going to help us solve next?